Hello and welcome to another episode of ZigTalk. Now I know we've been away for quite some time, but now we're back with a topic that's quite close to our hearts.
And PD also our heads.
Yes, absolutely, because we are talking about helmet safety.
But before we carry on, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell to stay notified.
Now what brings us to this topic is the fact that in Pune, there's a new rule that's going to come out from 1st of January 2019 that makes helmets compulsory for all two-wheel riders.
Yeah, and this brings us to another point. This is the 5th time that the Pune Police has tried to implement this law. So they've been 4 times unsuccessful. Maybe 5th time is the lucky charm.
Hopefully. And the thing is, it's not just people who are protesting this rule, it's also politicians, it's also various bodies of people, NGOs or sort, and it is quite strange to see such a backlash against a helmet rule, something that is so important for safety on a two-wheeler.
Quite rightly. So I've seen one politician in some newspaper, it's just come out and he said, why do I need to wear a helmet? Accidents can happen at larger speeds. I'm only riding at 20-25 kmph, and at that speed, it won't hurt my head. Well, Mr. Politician, you are certainly wrong in that aspect.
Because helmets save at pretty much any speed. Now you could be standing straight and fall straight down and hit your head on the pavement, and you can still cause brain damage because your brain is a soft, mushy organ suspended in a fluid inside a hard skull. So even if you get punched in the face, your brain can smash against the side of your skull and actually cause irreparable permanent brain damage. It might not kill you, but brain damage, yes. And helmets do mitigate that to quite an extent.
But PD, it's not only impacts to the head, it's also protection from the natural elements. Like if you're riding in the monsoons, for example, which in our country is very erratic. So even riding at 10 kmph and those water droplets feel like hailstorms to your skin. Also on top of that, causes blurry vision, you are not able to see straight, dust, pollution coming to your face. So it causes a lot of adverse effects to your vision and everything.
Yeah, so in general, helmets make it safer to ride, period. Whether it's safety of actually in an impact or whether it's just safety while you're riding, it's a good thing to have on your head. But there are quite a few myths that are associated with wearing helmets, and people have these random arguments, right?
Yeah, and let's debunk a few of them. First and foremost, helmets don't cause hair loss. This is a lifestyle choice, and it's sort of hereditary as well. But as you can see me, I wear helmets religiously, and I have a good amount of hair.
He's got a full head of hair, I mean, let's face it.
And even my lifestyle choices aren't that great, but yeah.
And again, people argue that you can't hear stuff when you're wearing a helmet, which is just ridiculous because, I mean, if you're driving a car with the windows rolled up, with the AC on and music playing, you can't hear anything. So in a helmet, yes, it cuts down sound a little bit, but it's not to the point where you actually can't hear what's around you.
Yeah. Another argument they have is, I cannot see the road. It's plain and simple stupid because when you're out on the road, when you're wearing, it limits your vision from above and below. But what the hell are you looking out for? Are you looking out for an airplane or are you looking out for the traffic ahead?
Yeah, and most good helmets have a field of view that's actually more than the human field of view. So honestly, in terms of peripheral vision, it's not affected one bit in a helmet.
And lastly, more than anything else, it's those so-called educated people who come up to you and say helmets cause whiplash injuries, they cause spinal problems, it's too heavy for your head and all that. Perhaps you'll be using the wrong helmet.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that argument is just ridiculous because your head is pretty heavy to start with. So if you add about a kilo and a half on your head as helmet weight, I mean, yes, you will feel a strain for a little while.
It takes time to adapt.
But your neck muscles will adapt. Your human body is very good at adapting to these new things. And honestly, if you wear a helmet for a couple of months, it'll feel like it's not there, provided it fits you well enough.
PD, you had a very interesting point earlier, and that was perhaps on your personal note. So if you would like to.
Yeah. So on that front, on some level, I do understand the argument that we made that the government or any governing body should not mandate personal safety. And on some level, that argument makes sense to me, at least on a personal level. But the problem is that when you're dealing with a topic such as road safety and helmet safety, it is very difficult for a governing body to implement those changes through education because that's the ideal way, right? But in India, we don't consider the road as an unsafe place, and it shows in the way we drive, the way we ride,
the way we walk across road. Just wearing earphones and listening to music, not giving a single flying.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And so that would mean to implement a change through that process would take much longer, would cost much more money. So I mean, in that sense, making it compulsory, yes, that kind of speeds things up, it speeds the process up. I can give this point to the police or the government that yes, I mean, over time, people will begin to understand the value of wearing helmets once they start wearing it for a long time.
But I think it has to be supplemented by education which starts right at the school level. Forget when you're jumping onto a motorcycle or riding schools or whatever. It has to start when you're, say, in 9th standard, 10th standard, when they teach you about road safety. Helmets are essential, helmets are important, and they protect you no matter what.
They do save your heads, and honestly, most of us have had experiences where our helmets have literally saved our heads.
So I met with a serious crash in Ladakh when I went there in 2016. The bike just skidded and I was close to falling off the cliff. I hit on the side, but I'm here right now because of my helmet.
I was hit head on by a guy going from the wrong side of the road. I smashed my hand, but my face and my head is safe because of my helmet.
So I rear-ended a truck. It had stopped suddenly after the green light went on, and I am alive today just because the helmet took the whole impact.
I have had quite a few crashes over the years, the most serious one being where a truck ran me off the road and I ended up skidding on my stomach for almost 20 meters. And in that scenario, my face would have taken the full brunt of the impact and the skid if it were not for my helmet. My helmet saved my life.
I've had 5 crashes, I've broken multiple ribs and bones, but I'm still here because of my helmet.
Once my bike skidded badly on gravel and my helmet scraped along the tarmac. If it wasn't for my helmet, it would have been my face that took the hit.
So yes, while helmets should be a choice, we would recommend make the right choice. Beep, 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 beep. If only he was wearing a helmet.